Welcome to the class of Microwave and Radar Engineering. This is subject code is KEC074 and lecture number is 17. In the last lecture, we have discussed about the reflex klystron, and in the previous lecture we have discussed about the two cavity klystron amplifier. Now TWT, that is the traveling wave tube amplifier, is also one of the microwave tube which is used to generate the microwave source microwave signals, and TWT was invented in 1944 by Kampfner when he felt that that in two cavity klystron full energy of the electron is cannot be transferred into the microwave signal. So for the amplification, due to the less interaction of the electron beam and the RF field, that interaction will only be done in the cavity. So TWT is invented by Kampfner to have the maximum interaction of electron beam and RF field. Clear? So in TWT the cavity is not there, and there is a continuous interaction between the electron beam and the RF field, so that the maximum amplification will be done and making their velocities vary. Clear? So this is by slowing down RF field, wave field, and in the exit direction by making it to pass through the helical path. Means this RF field is going to pass through the helical path, and the electron is also pass through the helical. So there will be continuous interaction with the electron beam and the RF field. And this microwave RF field is pumped through a coaxial cable with its central cable connected to the helical wire, through which current moves with velocity of light. This current causes an RF field inside the helical wire, and electron beam is passed through the axis of the helix. Clear? So this electron beam interacts continuously over the length of the fiber, and it transfers its energy. Electron transfers energy to the RF field, and when it getting transferred to the RF field, therefore the energy is getting also transferred to the beam current of helix. This causes the amplification of RF field when it reaches to the other end of the output. Means the one end of helix is act as the input, and other end of the helix is act as the output. So the interaction of electrons and RF field is done in this helix. So you will see that if the electron beam and RF field, if the both reaches A to B together, then the time of the movement of both will be same. Now see this one from this figure. This is a TWT amplifier, and in this the slow wave structure which we are using, that is a helix. So that is known as the helix slow wave structure, which slows down the velocity of electron, so that maximum interaction will be take place. Now see this one. This is a heater which, or you can say, which supplies the electron, and this is a cathode which supplies the electrons. These are the focusing anode which focus the electron beam and in one direction. So, and there is a permanent magnets are there. These permanent magnets focus the electron beam magnet around the tube, and in between there is a helix. The coil is there, which is in the form of the spiral, and in this one end of the helix is act as a RF input from coaxial cable, and the other end is act as a RF output to the coaxial cable. And at the last, this is a collector which collects the electron, and these electrons will get regenerated. Clear? Now we will see that this focusing electrodes is also positive side. So this is a positive supply is going to the beam control anode. Now see, and this is the electron which is going to pass through the anode in a focused form. These electrons will interact with what? RF input, and when it interacts with the RF input, maximum energy of electron get excited, and this energy of electron get excited during the positive half cycle, and negative half cycle it gets de-excited. So at the end, the during the retarding field, the energy of the electron gets transferred its energy to the RF field. Now see how the electron, just in like a klystron, the electron beam is regulated by what? Anode, as it passes through the center of the helix. Now see next one. A magnetic field is there, means axial magnetic field, this one. This axial magnetic focusing field prevents the beam from spreading and guides it to the center of the helix. Finally, the electrons are collected by the collector. Now, when the velocity of electron beam is close to the velocity of RF field, then there will be interaction between the electron and the RF field. And with the interaction of RF field and the electron, the energy of the electron beam will get transferred to the RF wave of the helix. That depends on the supply of the RF field. So this leads to more and more amplification of the RF field and the wave of the helix as it keeps moving along its length with the axial velocity. So there is also taking place of what? Velocity modulation, bunching of electron beam takes place along the axis of helix. So those electrons which move with positive velocity, positive cycle of RF field, get accelerated. Those electrons, when interact with the positive cycle of RF field, the electron get excited, and while the electrons moving along the negative cycle of the RF field gets de-accelerated, thus some electrons are moving slower, and while the some electrons will be faster. This leads to what? When there is a variation of electrons, some are moving fast, some are moving slow, and because of that, means if I say there are 3 electrons, if I say this electron is moving slow and this electron is moving fast, so at the same time both cover a faster will cover maximum distance and slower will cover slower distance. So at the some time the both electron get converged at some point, and that is known as the causing the bunch formation. So when this bunch interacts with the retarding field, it delivers its energy to the what? To the wave, resulting into the amplification. So when this bunch, this electron bunch, if I say this is the electron bunch, when this electron bunch interacts with what? Negative field of the RF field, it transfers its energy, the electron transfers its energy to the wave and resulting into the amplification. So how? So see this one. So this says that how the number of helix means the number of turns interact with the how number of turns depends on the what? Depends on the velocity of electron and also depends on the interaction. Now see this one. If I say this is the pitch, the space between one turn to another turn, that is known as the pitch. If I say this point is A, this is B, and this is making angle some theta, means during the turn it makes angle some theta. You will see there that A and B, this is P, and you will see that this is what? this is what? This will be what? Pi into me d. This will not be pi into me d. This AO, that is the diameter of this one. This will what? Circle. That is pi into me d. That is, or you can say what? Diameter means, sorry, circumference. That is pi into me d. The overall OB will comes out to be what? Under root of p square plus me pi square d square. Clear? So in the same time, the wave travels. Now see this one, from this figure you will see that, or from the above figure you will see that at the same time TP, wave travel from A to P, A to B, linear distance is P with the velocity of Vp, but the wave travels from A to B in circular distance. So there is also a relation between what? Velocity of what? Electron and the velocity of this wave traveling. Clear? So now see this one. This is what? RF field. This is RF field, and this is what? Electron bunching. Now when this electron bunching is there, and when this electron bunching interacts with what? Negative cycle, it transfers its energy to the RF field. You will see that the wave get amplified. You will see when it transfers energy to this field, means if I say this, during the interaction with the negative field, it transfers, the wave gets amplified. Now in the next same turn, when there is this electron, when this bunching, now you will see that the here bunching is smaller. Here the bunching capacity is larger, and here also the bunching capacity is also maximum. So again you will see that this electron bunch transfer its energy to the RF field and it gets amplified. Here's again, when this electron beam interact with the retarding field of the RF field, it transfers its energy to the, and the wave gets amplified. So at the output, means at the end of the helix, the interaction of electron beam and what? And RF field, output will be what? Maximum or amplified RF output. Clear? So this figure shows that the interaction between the beam and the increasing amplitude of the RF field of the helix by gaining energy from the beam. Now similarly, you will see that again I am telling this, the applied RF field propagates around the turn of the helix. It produces the electric field at the center of the helix. Now see, F as RF field propagates around the helix, it produces what? Electric field at the center of the helix. This electric field, this axial electric field propagates with velocity of light multiplied by the ratio of the P helix pitch to the this one. It means P velocity of electric field will be what? Velocity of light multiply by what? Ratio of the helix pitch to the helix circumference, and helix circumference will be what? Pi into me d. So when the electron helix, the interaction between the moving electric field and the moving electron will take place, and this such that this interaction takes place between them in such a way that the average electron beam delivers its energy or transfer its energy to the RF wave. Clear? This leads to the signal wave grows, amplified, and becomes larger. So this 5. So the velocity modulation, how? Same again I am telling you, velocity modulation, when the axial field is 0, the electric field, electron velocity becomes unaffected. So so when the RF field is positive, what? When the RF field is positive will be what? The electron entering the helix, and when the RF field is positive, it accelerates the electron beam, and this accelerating field get accelerated and the electrons get accelerated, due to which the higher energy of this energy of electron will become higher. So when this RF field interacts with the negative or retarding field, this when the electron interact with the negative RF field, the retarding field is what? Retarding field, the field was what? Retarding when it is negative, and the electron will transfer its energy to the RF field, and or you can say the electron get deaccelerated because it transfer its energy to the what? RF field. So due to this, the electrons get velocity modulated, because the variation of the electrons in positive half cycle, electron get accelerated. In reference, electron velocity will remain unaffected, and when it is positive, the electron become accelerated. So positive, so due to this, the velocity modulation take place, and as the wave travel further along the helix, the punching occurs at the phase shift of pi by 2. Clear? Now see this one, the slow wave structure. So this structure is what? Is in the form of what? Helix. So that is known as the helix slow wave structure. The helix slow wave structure means that it slows down the what? Speed of the electron, and which result in a maximum interaction of the electron to the RF field. So SWS are the special circuits which are used in microwave tubes to reduce the velocity of wave in a certain direction, so that the electron beam and the single wave can interact. The phase velocity of wave in ordinary waveguide is greater than the velocity of light. Clear? So now see this one. The electron beam and the signal wave are traveling with what? Nearly the same velocity, and the valuable interaction take place. So now you will see that due to the slow wave structure, the electron beam can be accelerated to a what? Fraction of velocity of light, and it can be deaccelerated. So you will see also that the electron beam must keep in step with the microwave signal, and slow wave structure must be incorporated with the microwave devices. So slow wave structure is very important in the helix, because of which we cannot have a velocity modulation, and also we cannot have a what? Maximum interaction of electron and the RF field. Now see these are the slow wave structures. This one is what? Helix, and this one is another slow wave structure, zigzag line. This is one interdigital line, and this one is another slow wave structure which reduces or makes some maximum interaction of electron and the RF field. And this one is the another wave structure, that is known as the folded backline. Now see, as the operating frequency increases, both inductance and the capacitance of the resonant circuit must be decreased in order to maintain the resonant at the operating frequency. Also the gain bandwidth product of the slow wave structure is limited by the resonant structure. Therefore, it cannot generate a larger output. However, non-resonant periodic structures can be used for producing a larger gain over a large bandwidth. Clear? Because if I say the equivalent circuit of these slow wave structure will be in the form of what? Inductance and the capacitance. That's why we have talked about the inductance and the capacitance of resonant circuit and the non-resonant circuit. So this now we'll see the comparison of the TWT and the two cavity klystron. In the TWT, the resonator is what? Conventional resonator does not exist, hence has a non-resonant structure. In this two cavity klystron, both cavities are what? Act as a resonators. Now you will see in that electron beam bunches travel in synchronous with the field wave current, which is the helix. Now here what? The electron bunches travel, but field wave is stationary in the two cavities. You will see that the field wave is stationary in between the two cavities, and you will see here the field waves are what? In the form of current, which travels down the helix. Now see, the two ends of the helix is used for input signal and the amplified output. Here what? The two independent separated cavities are for the input and the output. Interaction between the energy and the transfer from electron beam to EM wave in this wave in helix is continuous over the length of its length. But here what? Interaction only take place in between in the cavity also. Energy transfer is only in the two cavity, that is cavity 1 to electron beam and electron beam to cavity as a output. Means the interaction take place only between the two cavities. First is cavity 1 when there is a act as an input, and cavity 2 that will be act as a output. Gain of TWTA can be achievable from 50 to 60 dB, and here it is achievable from 15 to 70 dB. Efficiency 10 to 20%, and here efficiency is 30 to 40%. In this TWTA, very high power of 5000 kilowatt is also possible, and here high power ranges from 10 to 500 kilowatt can be generated by the two cavity klystron. The book I have referred for preparing the slides, that is Microwave Radar and RF Engineering by Prakash Kumar Chaturvedi, Springer, and another book is Microwave Devices and Circuits by SM Liao, 3rd edition. Thank you.